Hey friends, my name is Gabrielle and welcome to FrumiousReads, and today we are here to react to Season 2, Episode 1 of His Dark Materials. Now, I am so in love with His Dark Materials. If you guys have not been following this channel for a long time, there is a whole playlist about His Dark Materials where I talk about the different episodes, the different books, just different things I hope that they do in the future. So if you guys are just now seeing this and you like this video and want to see more, I'll leave the playlist in the cards up here so you guys can check that out. Yesterday, November 16th, we got the first episode of Season 2, and I am so excited to talk about it. Now, obviously, I think this goes without being said, but there will be spoilers ahead for those of you who haven't seen Episode 1 yet. So if you haven't, go forward with caution. First things first, we have to talk about the fact that Will and Lyra officially meet. I think that was extremely well done. I think that it was so great for them to have them just meet right off the bat and not drag out that part because, you know, sometimes you can really want two characters to meet and start interacting, and TV shows will kind of use that as a way to build suspense for when they finally do meet. But I'm so happy that they did that right away. I loved all of their interactions. I love the fact that his very first interaction is like, the animal's talking! And they're like, what are you talking about? That's my demon. Where's your demon? And taking into consideration everything that Lyra went through with the first season, where kids were severed from their demons, or people who weren't interacting with their demons or had that their connection cut were generally kind of more tended to be on the evil side. I think her reaction was completely justified. I also think it's really interesting to see like where Will's cultural, for lack of a better word, where Will's society and Will's world differs from Lyra's. Like, they're still two kids, but you can definitely see that Will almost seems more mature, whereas Lyra is still pretty immature and young. And so I feel like that's gonna be part of what their interactions bring out of her, is she's gonna have to force herself to grow up a little bit more. My dog is joining me and kicking the camera. Thank you! I love Lyra's new kind of relationship with the alethiometer. She kind of took it for granted almost in the first season and just took everything it said at face value, whereas now she's realized that yes, it tells the truth, but it doesn't give context, and it sort of has its own sentience. There are so many great lines within their interactions, like when they're talking about the differences between the two worlds, and they say like, oh, your world's like my world, but all the words are mixed up. I also love that when she finally does use the alethiometer at the end of the episode, her quote about Will is, oh, he's the good kind of murderer. I'm like, Lyra, honey, there's not supposed to be something as a good kind of murderer. She compares him to Yorick, and that is officially what kind of starts building her trust in him, because he trusts her and she's kind of noticed that, but her trust in him was something she wasn't sure about. Now let's talk about Siddigazi, which I know I'm saying it wrong compared to how they say it in the TV show, but Siddigazi is basically, from what I remember of the second book, Siddigazi is the world that is kind of like a window or portal to a lot of other places, and it's very close to What? Siddigazi is basically this world that leads to all other worlds. It's kind of like a window of sorts to the other windows of the world. So a lot of things that I noticed in the second episode was all the angel symbolism. And Siddigazi, I think, is actually known to be the city of angels. And for those of you guys who have read the books, you know why this is important. For those of you who haven't, I won't say too much because I don't want to spoil future episodes for you. But the whole angel symbolism, if you could not tell, is very, very important for later on in the series. So I'm really glad that we kind of got to see how the city takes their relationships with angels and incorporates it into their architecture, into their world. And also on the knife throw that you see on the title sequence, you could see the angel engraving on it. So I just think that's really cool to kind of tie all together the whole knife aspect. Okay, so we've talked about Lyra and Will, we've talked about Siddigazi and the specters. I'm really interested to see how they do the specters. I loved seeing what happened to the boy who was eaten by the specters and who was kind of like had his soul taken from them in a way. Just how lifeless he is. I love that Lyra was the one to kind of go up, and I was expecting at first for her to have a more violent approach and Will to be the softer one, but I like that they made it Lyra was the softer one everyone because she's really the one who's had experience with people who have like lost their souls for a better part. She's had more experience with people who have been severed from their demons, and so this is very familiar grounds from her. I'm interested to see how the specters will be shown in the rest of the season, and the freaking the cliffhanger at the end with Will and the Spectre, I'm wondering if he can see them already. And then also, oh my god, we had the little Mormont girl from Game of Thrones playing a huge role in this episode, which I was not expecting and had a huge, like, screaming moment for because I was not expected to see her there. And that was so cool. I was so excited to see her. I was like, I've seen her before. Where was she? And then I finally realized who it was. I'm so excited that she's in this series. She's such a fantastic actress, and so I'm excited to see what her role is in the future. Let's get to Miss Coulter and the Magisterium, because that is also a huge part of this first episode. We see Miss Coulter is back to being her evil self, really, where she's just the puppet master. She's literally playing all these men in the Magisterium as her puppets, and it's like they know she's doing it, but they still think that they can outsmart her. And so it's just like, it's mind-blowing how well she is at like seeming so transparent in her manipulation, but then it's still being able to manipulate them to do what they want, even though they know she's trying to manipulate them. And so everything with Miss Coulter was absolutely gold. I love that we're gonna see more of the witches and their history and their abilities, really, because like it was mentioned a lot, witches have the power to kind of hear the whispers between the worlds. So I'm excited to see more of the witches and more of Lee Scoresby and his kind of journey to help them, help Lyra. Lee, once again, is a treasure. His "shut up Hester" line was one of my favorites. And then I also think it's interesting that they had the kind of rival queen who went after the captured witch talk about the little people, because yes, the prophecy is important and it's part of the big picture, but as the queen, I forget her name, but as that other queen's demon said, the prophecy is not all there is. It's important to remember the casualties and the other people involved, you know, because they are not less important just because there's Lyra is this big part of the prophecy, you know? So it's a really interesting moral aspect to look at. I didn't realize the cloud pine was inside the witches until she started torturing them, and that made me cringe because I can imagine how painful that would be. Overall, I am so excited for episode 2 next week. I would love to know what your thoughts were on the first episode. Was there anything that I left out? Any details that you want to talk about? Let me know in the comments down below. If you guys like this video, then make sure you subscribe to my channel. I upload bookish videos usually a few times a month. I'm trying to get better and actually have a schedule, but with these His Dark Material videos, I will definitely be more consistent. But that's all I have for you guys today. Thank you so much for watching, and I will talk to you guys next week. Okay, bye.